So have you guys I think I should remove it since I'm just alone here. I think I should remove it, yeah. So anyway, my Kitenge mask. So guys, have you seen this meme of this meme saying that corona inashangaa, hey, ni wapi huku ilikuja penye kuna masks za vitenge? Have you seen that meme? Anyway, let me get to it, yeah. Hope you guys love my cup. Wilkins Dairy Podcasts. Now I'm gonna tell you something about this branding. So when I started my podcast, this podcast, it was first it was just what do I call it? You know, when I started the podcast, I was just coming from therapy. I was just coming from therapy. Of course, from being cyberbullied, trolled. Yes, I was just coming from therapy, and I wanted to create a platform. So at that point, I was looking for media stations whereby I can just go and tell my side of story, right? But of course, I went to a couple of media stations, did a couple of interviews, just to sort of openly talk about my mistakes. And let me make this, just to sort of openly talk about my mistakes in a way that it won't come off as a way of trying to justify my mistakes, or I'm trying to sanitize myself, you get. So I just wanted to get a platform whereby I will openly, if you're joining, I'm just talking about the cup. I'm just talking about the whole story of Wilkins, the entire story of branding of Wilkins Dairy Podcast. So I wanted to go to different interviews and just openly talk about my mistakes and own up to my mistakes in a way that it won't come off as I'm trying to sanitize myself or I'm trying to justify my mistakes. So of course I did a couple of interviews here and there, but again, as usual, it came off as, because I was training at that time, it came off as a publicity stunt in a way that the station, or rather the media houses that I was going for interviews, I think they were gaining from it because I trained for 3 days, you get. So then I realized that again, I think I was just being pushed the wall. I was just getting pushed the wall in terms of talking about my mistakes. But you see, what I wanted a platform whereby I can just openly, I can just feel safe talking about my mistakes. I think that's the kind of platform I wanted. Then I remembered I actually wanted to start a podcast I think 2 years ago. That's I think around 2017, yeah. But again, the podcast backfired. It backfired very bad. I think I only worked on it for only 1 month, then it backfired. So moving forward after training and all that stuff, and I wanted a platform to talk about my mistakes, talk about myself, own up to my mistakes. I said, okay, why not start my own podcast? So the podcast started as Wilkins Dairy Podcast, like a diary. So I was looking at it from perspective whereby I am meeting different kind of people, because coming from getting depressed, getting into therapy, coming from therapy, I wanted to just have conversations with people. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to just sort of learn from different people in different fields and all that kind of stuff. So I said, okay, why not have this as a podcast? Sort of when I meet someone and we engage into a meaningful conversation, why not develop it into a podcast? So I started. So you see, it's like a diary. You see, diary, the way unakutana na msee, then una note down meeting and all that. So I was looking at my podcast from that perspective. Then again, I remembered, oh shit, I think one of the mistakes that I made when previously with my other brands and other stuff that I was doing was my brand was so connected to me as a person. So quick one, starting the podcast, And of course, decided a podcast as a platform whereby I'm just meeting people and talking about my mistakes and all that stuff. But again, at the end of the day, I was looking at it from the longevity of the brand. That of course, this is something that is gonna grow into a brand. So I was thinking, why not now put into consideration all those things in terms of just creating this as a brand, as a longevity, as a brand in the next 10 years, how I would want it to be. So I started quick one. I think I was quick enough to I wanted to rebrand the entire narrative of Wilkins podcast. So I removed the diary to Wilkins Podcast Network. So basically, if you're new here, basically this is a network whereby we get to have so we have different shows targeting different audiences. So I have my show, we have Tush Time Show, we have Sense Talk, we have another show coming up, Raw and Chill Podcast by Ketsi Dede, me, Ketsi Dede, and Ashley Kebati. So there's that show that is coming up. Raw and Chill Podcast. I think it will start premiering next week. Super crazy, amazing show. So yeah, that's basically it about diary and rebranding and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, let's jump into it. So, by the way, make sure you check out all the other shows under the podcast. So we have Tush Time that is being hosted by Tushian. Then we have Sense Talk by Nina Shaban and Lian Conchita. We haven't recorded for a while, ever since Corona started. Then we have a new show that is coming up called Raw and Chilled Podcast, which is basically, which is hosted by me, Ketsi Dede, Ashley Kebati. So basically, Raw and Chill, it's like uncensored conversation. So make sure you stay tuned for that, yeah? Anyway, quick one. So the past couple of the past couple of weeks, I've been having a chain of thoughts in regards to coronavirus, and so the other day I was having I've been engaging different kind of people. You see, like right now, when you're trying to reach someone and say, hey, can we have a meeting tomorrow? Can we have next week? Hey, can we chill out? I think the most used, if Safaricom was to give, let's say, most commonly used feedback in the last 2 weeks, that will be ngoja corona ishe. I think if Safaricom was to just say, okay, we are releasing reports in terms of the most commonly used phrases, or rather the most commonly used feedback, the last couple of, let's say, 1 month will be ngoja corona ishe. And I've been telling people, what if actually corona is here to stay? What if corona is here to stay? You get, what if this thing is here to stay? I was just thinking from that perspective, you get. And I was just wondering, what if corona itakuwa kama normal homas and all that kind of stuff? Yani corona itakuwa tu kama homa, you get, umeshikwa na corona, everything will just be going to the market, we have to walk around with masks, we have to come out, we have to keep social distance, which of course Martin Abeba less passengers. Well, thank God the restaurants are open, but again, wase wanakula sijui, wase wanabai samosa. Is it samosa ama smoky samosa? Msane ndati nilisikia ile story ya nani mtaikagwe ati msane ndabai samosa moja, drinks sijui 2 ama 3, I don't know, I'm not sure. But Kenyans are very crafty, yeah. So my point was, what if corona is here to stay? What if life is just going to be like this? And I think when it comes to looking at corona, it's all perspective. I strongly feel like it's all perspective, because there's someone somewhere who is not even meeting people at all. Someone somewhere is not traveling. They're maintaining stay at home. But you see, Corona is all perspective. The reason why I'm saying Corona is all perspective is because you see, there's someone somewhere who actually is saying, I have actually been working for the last 4 or 5 months, crazy working without not having any break, like crazy working without having any break. And I have been wondering, when will I have break as a CEO, as a creative? Like, I have been working tirelessly without having a break. So you see, someone like that is looking at this situation as, well, I think I really needed it's like a much needed break. At the end of the day, like, I needed something to slow me down, you get. Then there's also another person somewhere who actually has always been wanting to start something. Like, you've always been wanting to develop something, you've always wanted to. And I think, let me talk about the most commonly career right now, or rather industry that is popping. I think it's the content creation industry right now that is really popping, with guys getting onto Instagram, TikTok, Insta lives and all that kind of stuff. So there is someone who has always wanted to start something, to start a business, to get into content creation, people have always wanted to do something, but again, they just never got the chance to start all these things. So now the Corona is here, they're using this platform, this chance to pick up on a new skill, pick up on a new hobby, start something, like more of like they're using it as a chance to like do like a self-evaluation, you get. So that's another perspective. Someone is looking at it, oh shit, I think I really needed something to slow me down, or whether I really needed something to give me that, is it white bulb moment of, I think it's the right time for you now to start your vlog, to start your YouTube channel, to start your podcast. And oh, by the way, next week I am recording a podcast known as How to Launch a Podcast in Kenya. So I asked a couple of people questions on LinkedIn and Facebook, and it was more of, should I develop a podcast, or should I record a podcast named How to Start a Podcast in Kenya? So please watch out for that episode. That will be dropping next week. I think so. That will be dropping next week. So I'll be recording that podcast. So yeah, back to content creation. So someone is like, just taking my time, 10:30. Someone is like, I think I should create, what is it called? I should create a podcast. What am I taking, surely? Anyway, like, there's someone somewhere who was always wanted to get into content creation, and this is the time. Another perspective is you see, all of us are not in the same situation. Like, everyone, Corona imepata kila mse in different situation. Someone is looking at it from, the other day I saw Caroline Mtuku. I think that should be like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. She had posted that Corona is here. The malls everything is becoming like a ghost town. So the malls, you have to enter with your mask. Like, it's here, guys. So should we keep on complaining about the government let Corona in the country, or should we adapt? And I've been telling people that I feel it's the time for you to adapt. It's time for us to adapt, because we don't know when this thing will end. And adaptation comes with you analyzing the entire situation. And people are getting laid off. People are losing jobs. Like, people are not making money. Like, everything is crazy. The different industries are being, let's say, compromised, you get. So Corona is here. What do we need to do? I think the best thing to do is adapt, because and I think even that's why for us we haven't recorded so many episodes of the podcasts, because getting people to do so for me, my show Convos with Wilkins, if you check my shows are always face-to-face, in-depth conversations with different celebrities and different personal brands, and just getting to to have a really in-depth conversation on their creative process and what they're doing, just like an in-depth conversation. And me, I love face-to-face, but you see right now I can't do a face-to-face conversation because 80% of celebrities right now, or 80% of everyone right now, is just sort of like scared of corona because you don't know where you're getting it. You get, now that's the issue. You might really, you see, like, let's say for example, for the past 1 week you might be really vigilant in terms of not getting corona. Then one day you just say, you know what, let me go to town and meet Wilkins. Then Wilkins maybe amepitia at a certain shop kwa mpesa aka withdraw do, kumbe kwa shop kuna msee alikuja akasimama hapo, huyo msee ako na corona, so na come commit, we do the maybe a podcast or something, poop, ushapata corona. You get, so it's so hard, like you just don't know where you might get it. And that's why I feel like it's about time for us to like just adapt that corona is here, and yeah, and just see how to like move around. Now about business, that was more on personal interaction. Now about brands, I honestly feel like if your brand doesn't have a strong digital footprint, especially during this time, you're missing out on a lot, maze. Like if your brand, and when I talk about brands, I'm not just talking about a company, I'm talking about even a personal brand. If your personal brand doesn't have like a really strong digital footprint, if your brand is not trying as much as it can to like make sure that people get to know about this brand on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like you're missing out on a lot. You get, yeah. So I was saying, like, if your brand doesn't have a strong digital footprint right now, you really need to work on it itself, maze. You really need to right now, because everyone is online. Everyone is on Twitter, everyone is on Instagram, everyone is on what would we call TikTok. Like if your brand is not digitally, if your brand is not strong in terms of its digital presence, right now is the time for you to like start evaluating your brand in terms of, can your brand serve people online? Like, was your brand just relying on walk-ins, or was your brand just relying on referrals? You get, like, we have businesses, and there's some sectors whereby brands just only rely on referrals, walk-ins. You get, and if it's social media, it's only one person. So I was just thinking, like, if your brand doesn't have a really strong digital footprint right now, you're missing out on a lot. Like, you're missing out on a lot, because right now everyone is on social media. Right now everyone is there, everyone is out there. Even the other day, Safaricom gave their their statistics, and they say that the most, I think they gave their report on data. They didn't give their report on airtime. It's because most people are using data right now, and everyone is online. And if you want to like get into content creation, vlogging, you want to start a podcast, there's a service I've introduced in terms of anyone who wants to start a podcast, get into vlogging, content creation, a YouTube channel. So if you want to start that, please hit me up and let's talk and see how I can come and help you. If you think you're starting a podcast, please hit me up if you want to start a podcast. We can definitely help you with the production strategy, getting advertisers, content creation, branding, everything. Also, I think I also did that post out there. So if you want to get into that industry, please hit me up, and we will definitely help you. Especially during this time of Rona, you have enough time to create content. Anyway, Maze, I just wanted to give I just wanted to give my thoughts in terms of coronavirus from human to human interaction. That is how we're all looking at this situation. And I wanted to also give my thoughts in terms of from the business perspective. From the business perspective, this is the best time for you to like put your brand on digital footprint, making sure that people really get to understand your brand. Like, this is the time for you to build a strong digital presence footprint for your brand. And when I talk about brand, not just your personal brand or not just your company, both your company and your personal brand, it's the best time for you to get into content creation, content development. And maybe for another person, it's the best time for you to just chill, relax, meet people, call your parents. As in, it's just for someone out there, it's the best time for you to just relax and to just let everything flow. So yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in, and yeah, see you very soon. Please make sure you check out other shows on the podcast. Make sure you check out make sure you check out other shows. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share this video. Watch out other conversations we've had on the podcast, the guests I've had on my show. Check out other shows, Twitch Time Show. Check out Sense Talk. And please stay tuned for Raw and Chill podcast. This was Wilkins, and yeah, please make sure you wear your mask. Make sure you maintain social distance. Make sure you, what else? Yeah, just keep self, Mazay. And the most important thing that I can leave you with is, don't feel pressured. You see, like, even if everyone is getting to YouTube, everyone is starting vlogging, like, you're seeing people are getting into things right now. Please remember, it's all perspective. So don't stress yourself like, oh, I'm not doing anything, oh, I'm not what. I feel like if you can afford your rent, if you can afford your food, if you can afford those two things, you have a place to stay, to sleep, and you're feeding yourself. Don't stress too much. You see, just let things flow. Things will happen systematically. Just don't stress. Don't feel like the world is leaving you. Don't feel so much stressed. Everything is gonna be okay. Everything is gonna be all right. Just be optimistic. Just make sure you practice self-awareness. Just make sure you're self-aware of yourself, of how you're feeling about the situation, where you want to be in the next couple of months, like how you want to adapt into the situation. I think the most important thing is to be self-aware, like getting to understand, getting to really understand yourself, the place where you are right now, and also getting to understand how you want to respond into the entire situation. So that was I'm trying to find a name to call this series. I'm really trying to find a name, and I hope I really get a name very soon. And I'm just basically hoping that I can always do twice a week this series, whereby I just get to like have share my thoughts into something, whether it's happening around or just I'm trying to think about it. Anyway, thanks, and cheers, and have a great weekend. Bye bye. I'm out.